Well, hello there. What is Photoshop? That's a boring question to start with. You can treat this video as the first episode of every other Photoshop tutorial out there. That sounds better.
Then let's get started.
In this video, we'll cover some basic Photoshop functions and few thumb up rules. So let's figure them out together without losing our sanity. Further information. I'm currently working on Windows, but if you are using a Mac, there are few key differences to keep in mind. You see, whenever I mention Alt, Control, or Backspace on Windows, these translate to Option, Command, and Delete on a Mac. Got it? Also, the Photoshop version I'm working on right now is this. Alright, from here I might sound like a robot, so I apologize in advance because I have to cover everything within this time frame. So no funny business. Creating a new project. First, you need to create a new project. Of course, after opening the Photoshop, you can either drag and drop an image from your computer, which will create a new project file based on that image, or create a new file by clicking on New File. There are different built-in presets for various dimensions. You can use them or create your own custom dimensions and save them as a preset for future works. In the dialog box, name your file, select the unit as pixels, set your dimensions, and the orientation will adjust automatically based on those dimensions. Leave the resolution as it is for digital works. Resolution is mainly important for printing works, but if you still want a number,
Go with 300.
for the color mode, choose RGB color and set the bit depth to 8-bit. But if your project involves gradients, you might want to use 16-bit for smoother results. Keep in mind though that higher bit depth increases file size. Finally, choose your background color and leave the advanced setting as they are. Save this as a preset by clicking here. Then click Create and your blank canvas is ready. User interface. This area here is called the canvas, where you make your edits. Ladies and gentlemen, meet toolbar, where you will find essential tools to work with. Right click on a tool to access more similar tools within that category, and you will also see shortcuts next to each tool. Click the three dots here, then right click. You will get the option to edit toolbar, where you can rearrange, remove, or add tools according to your needs. Once you are done, click done. On the other side, there are panels for adjustments, layers, and other settings. This is the options bar for tools, and the options will change depending on the tool you have selected. This is status bar, where you can set different properties to display, things like dimensions, file size, layer count, and more. Now let's talk about the user interface. By default, it comes with essential presets, but you can also customize these panels to your needs and preferences. Once you are done with your customization, save it. Go to Window, Workspace, New Workspace, name it. Check the three boxes and then save it. You will find your presets here or here. This is the menu bar. How to explain? Well, think of it like a restaurant menu. Just like you order only the food you want on your plate, the Photoshop menu bar also lets you pick the tools and options you need for your projects. Basically, it's the command center for everything you do in Photoshop. And if you accidentally delete any panel, you can order it again from the window menu. Once ordered, stack it where you want or reset your saved preset from here. I'm not going to give an in-depth explanation for all these tools. I'm just giving you an overview of the basics that are essential to understand my future tutorial videos, if there are any. But if you leave your cursor on a tool or on options for a moment, it gives you a quick explanation of what the tool does. Now I guess that's enough for the user interface. Let's move forward. Navigation over canvas. Here is how you can navigate on the canvas. Use the scroll wheel to move up and down. Hold Ctrl plus scroll wheel to move left and right. Hold Alt plus scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Hold the spacebar and drag with your mouse to move the canvas freely. Press Ctrl plus 1 for 100% view of your image and Ctrl plus 0 to fit the canvas to the screen. Hold the R key to rotate the entire canvas freely, and holding Shift plus R will rotate the canvas at 15 degrees. About layers. This is the layer panel. Click this plus icon to create a new empty layer. To add an image, drag it from your computer and drop it onto the canvas. However, if you drag and drop it right next to here, it will open as a new file or project. These are tabs that help you work on multiple projects at the same time. You can easily switch between them by clicking on their names. Also drag a tab to arrange them side by side for multitasking. This is something I often use as a reference window. Now back to the layer panel. Moving layers up or down in the layer panel determines their front to back position on the canvas. Press Shift plus click to select multiple layers in a row. Press Ctrl plus click to select multiple individual layers. Drag layers up or down in the panel to reorder them. Hold Alt plus drag up or down to duplicate a layer or multiple layers at once. Double click a layer's name to rename it. Right click on a layer to access more options, including converting it to a smart object or rasterized layer. What are those? I'll explain them later. Press Ctrl plus G to group selected layers. Double click on a layer or group to open the layer style panel. What's this again? I'll explain them later. To delete a layer, select it and press the delete key or drag it to the dustbin icon. To merge layers, select 2 or more layers and press Ctrl plus E to combine them into a single layer. If you want to create a snapshot of everything visible on the canvas, go to the topmost layer and press Ctrl plus Shift plus Alt plus E together. This will create a new layer containing everything you see on the canvas without affecting your original layers. Some essential shortcuts. Alright, I guess now is the time to explain some important functions to keep in mind. Pressing Ctrl plus Z will undo your last action. For example, if you just created a new layer, pressing this will undo that action.
It is so embarrassing and disappointment that I cannot turn this particular shortcut into real life.
Ctrl plus Shift plus Z will redo the action you just undid. You can also set the limit how many times you can undo or redo. When you first press Ctrl plus S, Photoshop will ask you to save the file as a PSD on your computer. This means all your changes are saved in a format which you can edit later. After saving it as a PSD, you can press Ctrl plus S anytime to save your work and avoid losing progress. Keep an eye on this little asterisk next to the file name at the top. This indicates unsaved changes. Once you save your work, the asterisk will disappear. Now, make pressing Ctrl plus S a habit so you never lose your work. And if you have a pen tablet with fancy buttons on it, assign one of them to Ctrl plus S and smash that button every time you make a change. Got it? Now here is a thumb up rule that will definitely save you from frustration. Don't just rely on Ctrl plus S to save your project. Why not? Because you cannot trust Photoshop. You never know when it might get crashed. Until your project is finished, always duplicate your PSD file every 20 to 30 minutes. Then permanently delete the previous copies and keep creating new ones. This way, even if Photoshop betrays you by corrupting your file, you will still have a backup saved and your project will be safe. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience. Remember during the creation of Manta? Yep, learned the hard way. But you do not have to. I'm protecting you from the frustration. Anyway, moving forward.
Types of layers.
Now if you are wondering what smart object and rasterized layer are, let me explain. A smart object is a rasterizing layer Hope you understand it now. A smart object is like putting your image or design inside a protective frame. No matter how many times you resize, rotate or edit it, the original image will stay safe and untouched. It's perfect for keeping your work high quality and flexible for future edits. Use smart object when you want to apply filters or transformation to an image but still want the ability to edit it later. To create a smart object, select a layer or multiple layers, right-click and choose Convert to Smart Object. You will notice a small icon appear on the layer thumbnail. This indicates now it's a smart object. Double-click the smart object icon to access the original image or layers, which will open as a separate file. Make your changes here if you want and press Ctrl plus S to update it in your main project. Keep in mind though, converting layers into a smart object can restrict some filters from working as they may appear grayed out. On the other hand, rasterizing a layer means converting it into a pixel-based image, making it a regular layer. You cannot resize or edit a regular layer as easily without losing quality, so you lose the flexibility that a smart object offers. For example, you might rasterize a text layer or an image if you are sure you won't need to make further edits and you want to apply pixel-based effects like paintbrush strokes or some filters that are grayed out when using a smart object. However, if you think you might want to edit it later, converting it into a smart object would be a better choice. Hope you understand it now. Adjustments layers allows you to make changes to brightness, contrast, color balance, and other tonal or color settings without permanently altering the original image. Simply click the adjustments layer icon to access these options. Foreground and background colors. These two squares here represent the foreground and background colors. By default, they are always set to black and white. Click on them to set your preferred colors. You can even pick colors directly from your canvas. Now here are some shortcuts. Press Alt plus backspace to fill the canvas with the foreground color, whatever color is selected, and Ctrl plus backspace for the background color. Press X to swap the foreground and background colors. Press D to reset the colors to the default black and white. Now, what is the purpose of these two colors? Think of them as your primary and secondary secondary colors for quick access while editing. The foreground color is the main color used for tools like brushes, text, and color fill. The background color serves as a secondary color. About brush. To start painting, first select the brush tool. Right-click on the canvas to open the brush panel, where you can choose a brush and adjust its size and hardness. Hardness determines how soft or sharp your brush edges will be. You can even squash the brush tip by adjusting this circle here. Another shortcut is hold Alt plus drag left and right with right mouse button to change the brush size and drag up and down to change the hardness. Next, check the opacity and flow settings, which controls the intensity and transparency of your strokes. Choose the foreground color for your brush and start painting. In case you don't see the brush shape, you might have accidentally pressed the caps lock. Turn it off. Shift plus click connects strokes between clicks. Shift plus drag creates perfectly horizontal or vertical lines. Smoothing makes your brush strokes smoother, even if you draw wobbly or uneven lines. Lastly, there's the pen pressure icon. If you are using a pen tablet, this activates pressure sensitivity, which controls stroke thickness or opacity based on how hard you press. About layer style. Now let's talk about layer style. Layer style can do crazy shit. That's all. Let's move forward. Seriously, this panel can do crazy stuff and also too much to explain in depth. It could easily take an entire video. Still, let me give you a quick explanation. Layer style add effects like bevel and emboss, stroke, shadows, gloss, and overlays to enhance a layer's appearance. For example, these effects were made using this panel. They are non-destructive, so you can edit or remove them anytime without affecting the original layer. You can copy a layer style to another layer by holding Alt and dragging it to the target layer. And as for thumb up rule, keep tweaking different options and parameters to find out what they do. Also, while tweaking settings, focus on the results or preview rather than the exact values. I myself never pay attention to the values I'm dialing. Make sure the preview box is checked to see the changes in real time. You can adjust values by dragging the handles or by clicking and dragging on the name of the options. Once you are happy with the look, leave the values as they are or round them up to a clean number and then hit OK. Since this is non-destructive, you can modify the effects anytime you want. To delete layer styles, right-click on the layer and select clear layer style. Now let's talk about some teeny tiny icons and options. The eye icon lets you temporarily hide or show a layer without deleting it. Hold Alt and click on the eye icon to only show that layer while hiding the others. Click again while holding Alt to return to the normal view. Opacity controls transparency of a layer, making it partially or fully invisible. Fill is similar to opacity but works differently.
Same but different.
It hides only the layer's content while keeping applied effects visible like shadows, gloss, and stroke. Blend modes change how a layer visually interacts with the ones below it. Play around with this to create unique effects. Transform. Now let's talk about how you can transform your objects. To transform a layer, press Ctrl plus T. To enable the transform controls, use the corner points to resize or rotate the layer and move the object by dragging from the middle. I'm turning off this nav feature because it annoys me sometimes, and you can do that by going to this small circle is the reference point, also known as the anchor point, which acts as the center of the universe, which acts as the center of transformation. If it's not visible, then check this box to enable it. You can also move this anchor point wherever you want inside or outside the canvas. Hold Alt while resizing to transform symmetrically around this anchor point. Hold Ctrl to move individual points freely. Hold Shift while resizing stretches or distort the objects freely, which allows you to change the width and height independently. Hold Shift while dragging to move the object in a straight line, either horizontally, vertically, or at a 45-degree diagonal angle. Right-click will give you more options. One of them is Warp, which I use a lot. Warp allows you to bend and distort the object freely. Press Ctrl to add more points. Right-click also gives you the option to flip the object horizontally or vertically. About selections. Now let's talk about selections. First, select the selection tool. Right-click on it to access more selection tools. When you make a selection, it means that area is the only active part of the canvas or layer. Press Ctrl plus Shift plus I to invert the selection. You have different tools to make selections. Shape selections like rectangular or elliptical. The lasso tool lets you draw freehand selections. The polygonal lasso tool allows you to create selections using straight lines. And there are more selection tools like object selection, quick selection, magic wand, which you can explore later as you get more comfortable with these basic selections. Hold Shift to add to the selection or select multiple areas. Hold Alt to subtract from the active selection. Hold both Alt and Shift to intersect selections, keeping only overlapping parts selected. To select the contents of a layer, press Ctrl and click directly on the layer thumbnail. This will create selections of the visual pixels of that layer. Hold Shift while making shape selections for equal proportions like elliptical or rectangular. This also applies to Shape tool. Press Ctrl plus D to deselect or deactivate a selection. If you want to transform a specific part of your layer, first make a selection of that area, then press Ctrl plus T to start transforming. Remember, the layer must be rasterized for this to work. I know there's a lot to cover when it comes to selections, but this should give you the basics to get started. About mask. Now about mask. This might be a big one, so bear with me. Mask controls the visibility of a layer's content. White reveals, black hides, and gray makes the layer partially transparent, depending on the state. To apply a mask, click the mask icon. By default, clicking the mask icon creates a white filled mask. Hold Alt while clicking the icon to create a black filled mask, also known as the negative mask. Then use the brush tool with black or white as the foreground color to paint on the mask. Here is an important note about foreground and background colors. Even though there is two colors, but they act as two sets of colors, one for layers and another for masks. When a mask is selected, the colors automatically switch to monochrome. This means you don't have to manually pick the colors black and white every time you're working with masks. Just press D to reset to the default colors. Notice how the color set switches as you toggle between a layer and its mask. Now go ahead and start painting on the mask to hide or show whatever parts of your layer you want. If you reduce the opacity of your brush while painting on a mask, it creates a transparent effect, so you don't have to pick gray color as the foreground color for any transparency. Holding Shift and clicking on the mask will disable and enable it. To view the mask directly on the canvas, hold Alt and click the mask. You can make a selection of a mask by holding Ctrl and clicking on the mask thumbnail. To invert a mask, select the mask and press Ctrl plus I. You can unlink the mask from the layer by clicking the link icon between them. This lets you move or transform the mask and the layer independently. To copy a mask, hold Alt and drag it to another layer. But if you just want to transfer the mask without copying, simply drag it to the target layer. If you want to create a mask for a specific area, first make your selection. If a mask already exists, use the foreground and background color shortcuts to fill the selected area with black or white. If no mask exists, click the mask icon and a mask will be applied to the selected area. Clipping mask. A clipping mask restricts a layer's visibility to the shape, group, or content of the layer below it. Hold Alt and hover between two layers until the clipping icon appears. Then click to apply. You can clip multiple layers to a single shape or base layer. These adjustments layers comes with a white filled mask, which you can paint on with black or white to control where the adjustments are applied. In the properties panel, you will also find a clipping option to limit the adjustment to a specific layer or shape. To delete a mask, right click on it and choose delete layer mask, or simply drag it to the dustbin icon. Mask, 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 mask. Filters and effects. You can apply different kinds of filters and effects to a layer from the filter menu, such as Gaussian blur, motion blur, noise, mosaic effect, liquefy, camera filter, and more. I always use the camera filter for the final color grading or sharpening on image. You can also use it for your raw images. As I mentioned before, simply drag these handles left or right. While adjusting, keep your eyes on the result rather than values. Once you are satisfied with the look, hit OK. If you have turned your image into a smart object before applying any filter, you can readjust those filters or effects anytime as needed. Export settings. Alright, you have crafted your masterpiece. And now it's time to set it free from Photoshop's grasp. Go to File menu, choose Export, and then Export As. Select your desired image format such as JPEG or PNG. Here you can check the approximate file size. You can also adjust the dimension for your final product. Make sure to check these two boxes under color space and leave everything else as it is. Then hit Export, name your file, and then save it. This was a long video for me, but we have finally reached the end. Congratulations to you and me. Hold on, not finished yet. Now here is the final basic tip, most important tip of this video. I have covered the essential fundamentals and thumb up rules, so now you are ready to dive into the advanced tutorial on YouTube or anywhere else. Now here is the thumb up rule. Take some time to experiment with the tools, options, features, panels, and effects to see what they do. That is how I and probably many others learned a software like this. Who knows, you might stumble upon or create something completely unique that no one else has ever done before. So you could say I have just helped you to take the first step by explaining some basics of Photoshop. Keep exploring, experimenting, and pushing the boundaries to uncover the endless possibilities. And remember, there's tons of features and options in Photoshop, but you won't need or use most of them right away. Over time, you will naturally pick them up one by one. For now, these basics are all you need to get started. Whoa! After explaining all this, I feel like an intelligent, mastermind, supreme genius of Photoshop Fore. Anyway, I worked so hard to make this video and maybe lost a little bit of my sanity along the way. So if you had even a tiny bit of fun or learned something new, please hit that like button or share this with a friend who wants to step into the world of Photoshop. I mean, come on, it is the least you can do, right? And also check out my other videos from here, or if you are interested in tutorials, then check this playlist. Alright, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Before that, subscribe.